up there at Alice Hall. The future starts now, and the future looks bright. We will be talking about that a lot tonight. I promise you, I am excited. But that's not all we've got on tap tonight for our show. No, the White Sox will be starting their division series down in Houston tomorrow afternoon. We will be previewing the White Sox and Astros series. That's at 5 and your series a lot to get for the Sox have to be advanced in that one. And then finally, just moments ago, the Chicago Sky advanced to the WNBA Finals for the first time since 2014, defeating the Connecticut Sun in 4 games. We will break down that game tonight and look ahead at who they might take on. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Buckle up, let's have some fun. And once again, welcome on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As always, I am your host, Adam Karnick. Woo! What a day, huh? Roundabout what was it? Just before noon today, word came out. First from Adam Schefter, then from Stacey Dales, all the other reporters, that Justin Fields is now the permanent, full-time starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. I am stoked about this. It was funny. I was looking at some of his numbers here recently, doing some work on another show, and I realized that his numbers don't necessarily look that great through 2 starts, but they don't tell the whole story with Justin. That he is ready for this moment. We saw enough from him, certainly against Detroit, with Bill Lazor calling the plays, that the moment's not too big for him. We are going to get all kinds of into that, but before we get too far into that, and before we've got some other housekeeping things to do, I do want to say congratulations to the Chicago Sky, winning 79-69 tonight, defeating the Connecticut Sun and advancing to the WNBA Finals for the first time in 7 years and just the second time in franchise history. We will be breaking down that game and doing a preview for the WNBA Finals, which will be starting sometime this weekend, either Friday or Sunday. The WNBA Finals will be starting. We will do a preview of that before the show is out tonight. I just wanted to give a quick shout out. I was a little late getting set up because I was watching the game there. I wanted to get as much of that game in as I possibly could. I knew that it was going to be wrapping up just about as we were set to go on tonight. So congratulations to the Sky. We will break down their win tonight and do a preview of the WNBA Finals coming up later on in the show. But before we get any further, of course, we need to do our regular housekeeping, starting with our sponsors. The Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The Warriors were on a bye this past week. They are 3-3 heading into the home stretch of the season, the final 4 weeks of the year. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Find them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, or find them on Facebook by searching Southern California Warriors. And then background check international business. Are you looking to background check a new hire on? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him help make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crimes, such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. You can go to their website, bcint.com, or find them on Facebook at Background Check International-BCI. And IE Sports Radio is on all the major social platforms. You can go to our website, iesportsradio.com, or just search IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. And then this show is, of course, active on Twitter as well. We are at IESRC. You may have noticed tonight I was spending a lot of time live tweeting during the Sky game from there. So I was trying to keep everybody as up to date on that as I could, while also simultaneously prepping for the show. But then also, you can follow my personal Twitter feed at Adam_Karnick. All right. It finally happened. It finally happened. After all the weeks of, well, we owe it to Andy. Well, Dalton, Andy just right now can run the offense better. Well, when he's back and healthy, Andy's our QB1. Well, Andy, we were really pleased with how Justin looked in practice, but at the end of the day, Dalton's still quarterback one. We can put all that stuff aside because Justin Fields is finally quarterback number one. Like we all knew from the moment they drafted him, from the moment he got out on the practice field and you saw this kid doesn't look like any of the other rookie quarterbacks that have come through in the past 70 years through this organization. This kid looks different. This kid's got it. What are they waiting for? Finally now, as we're heading into week 5 of the NFL season, Justin Fields has been appointed the starting quarterback going forward for this season. I was working on putting my daughter down for her nap as the news broke, so I was not able to shout for joy as I wanted to. I had to take to just screaming from the Twitter rooftops. So sorry if I broke anybody's phones while I was screaming on Twitter. It was just There's a buddy of mine texted it to me first in one of our group threads, shared the link, and I right away I just said don't tease me with this, don't be kidding me right now. And it's no, this is legit, and seeing it everywhere, and oh my gosh, yes, he had a rough game against Cleveland. Yes, you look at the overall numbers and they're not great. But the numbers and the eye test don't line up here. You watch that game, especially against the Lions this past Sunday, and I know the Lions are a huge step down in class than Cleveland, and I don't want to harp on or pick on the Detroit Lions. They're a professional NFL team, by all means. But at the same time, there's a world of difference from going on the road to face a almost surefire playoff team and probably a Super Bowl contender in Cleveland to coming home to host a team that is probably going to wind up with a top 5 pick this coming April in the draft. Obviously there's a world of difference in class there, but still, kudos to the Bears. They put together a proper game plan to allow Fields to showcase his skills. And you break down tape from that game on Sunday, and you could already see that that Fields was making adjustments from the game against Cleveland. I see Taryn in the chat room there. He wanted to know if I got a new mic. No, actually, I'm same mic. I'm in a different location recording. I have been recording down in my basement. I'm actually now out in the porch, so it gives for a little more. I guess probably a little more of an echo. But trying to take advantage of the nice weather while we've got it, and still being able to be in my covered porch before it starts getting cold and things like that. But glad I'm coming through loud and clear though. So thank you, Taryn. I'm still learning all these technical details here of making sure that all the final sound comes out right. So, but a perfect example, getting back to Justin Fields, a perfect example. There was a play that I saw get broken down from the game Sunday. It was a 3rd down read against the Lions where the primary read was Allen Robinson, and it was man coverage, so you knew that that's where Justin certainly wanted to go. But then the Lions, after the snap, they snuck an extra defender and shifted him over, and suddenly Robinson was being double teamed. Fields recognized it, moved through his progression, and ultimately left the pocket and scrambled for the 1st down. Compare that to 2 weeks ago against Cincinnati, where he had the pre-snap read on the crucial 3rd down in the 4th quarter, where it looked like cover 0, straight man-to-man across the board without any safety help over the top, and Fields threw hot, and it went right into the waiting arms of a linebacker that backed off the coverage and went right into the throwing lane. Fields is already picking up and adjusting on the ways that teams are going to try to attack him, how they're going to try to confuse him out there on the field. He's growing. That was one of the things that was so heavily praised about Justin coming out of the draft, or coming into the draft, as scouts were looking at him. They were saying, man, this kid retains information so well, and you're already seeing it pay off out there. Just 2 starts into his NFL career, he's picking up and adjusting to how defenses are attacking him and ways that they're trying to confuse him. And after that brutal game in Cleveland where he got destroyed and had a horrible game, he picked himself up. They adjusted the game plan to suit more for where his skills are at right now. Changed up the play caller. Kudos to Nagy. I'm sure that Nagy is, out of all this, having to do things that he doesn't want to be doing. I'm sure that his arm is getting twisted here. First, he handed off play calling duties to Bill Lazor. Now he's playing Justin Fields as his starting quarterback, and it seemed like in the press conference that maybe this wasn't necessarily solely and exclusively his idea, but kudos to him for still doing it. Nagy's obviously a very proud man, a very proud coach,
he's worked hard to get to where he is now in his career, and he trusts himself above all else. Kudos to him, though, to even if he's being nudged and encouraged or being told, hey, you need to do this or else, he's still doing it. And that's not easy to do. So I want to give Matt Nagy props for this too, for making the adjustments and doing what's right for the team in this instance. No offense to Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton honestly performed better than I expected through the 6 quarters that he played. Completion percentage was huge, completing almost 74% of his passes. But the big play wasn't there. You saw against Detroit 5 passes of over 20 yards in the air. Dalton didn't have a single deep shot all season. He was just content to take the underneath and try to drive the ball down the field. And that's why, with Dalton at quarterback, they only had 2 touchdown drives on offense through those 6 quarters with Dalton. With Fields, they had 3 just against Detroit, just in the one game. Still looking for Fields' first touchdown pass. That's, a little maddening, a little perplexing, but at the same time, I almost feel like with Fields that touchdown, it's almost like a home run hitter in baseball, or a real good power hitter that when they're going through a slump, once they come out of it, it's almost like the lid just pops off and suddenly everything's getting hit out of the park. I wonder if maybe something like that isn't coming on the horizon for Fields, where once he gets that first touchdown pass, he kind of breaks the seal a little bit. They hopefully will start coming in bunches. Obviously, I hope that happens. I have kind of that feeling with him on this, that it's just once he gets that first one, they're all gonna start coming. I see Larry has popped into the chat as well. Chi-Town go Sky. Yes, the WNBA Finals will be coming back to Chicago. We will be talking about that later on in the show. But before we get to the Sky, we have some other playoffs to be discussing. The White Sox will be starting their Division Series matchup in Houston tomorrow afternoon. Let's break it down. Let's get to meet the Astros a little bit. Let's take a look at what might be happening in that series. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Back in a minute.
Motorsports takes many forms, and there's one show on IE Sports Radio that's ready to cover it all.
I sure hope you're talking about you and I, Daryl, because I know the Extra Mile is the best place to go for everything motorsports related.
Yes, it is. From NASCAR to IndyCar to sports cars to everything in between, IE Sports Radio has everything covered for the fastest sport in the world.
Plus, don't forget all of our random shenanigans along the way.
That's right, Caitlin. So for plenty of motorsports coverage and plenty of Caitlinisms, check out the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Caitlin Seen, Thursdays at 8 p.m.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, on women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You know, I'm so excited talking about Justin Fields being named the starting quarterback this week. Didn't really get into the matchup at all for his first start officially as the permanent starter. It's against it's out in the desert, Las Vegas, taking on the Raiders. I bring that up because I see Larry in the chat room there, and he of course is a Raiders fan. Though I've often maintained he's a closet Bears fan. He enjoys defense above all else in football. Loves a good score. You know, his favorite kind of football game would be one that ends in a final score of 6-3. No touchdowns allowed, and 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and lots of having to earn every single yard. And he, you know, is kind of self-deprecating to his team and to his fandom. Larry, you would fit right in with Chicago. I'm telling you, man. You know, you got to do it. It's just you know, trade in that silver and black for the navy and orange. You'd fit right in and feel really good. It is gonna be fun out there in the desert, in the brand new. Well, I guess this is its second season. the Allegiant Stadium out there in the desert. I know there are going to be a ton of Bears fans out there for that, and the Bears might be catching the Raiders at just the right time, at a good time there. The Raiders played on Monday night and lost to the Chargers, their first loss of the season, but it was eye-opening a little bit. It's still, to me, a little too early in the week to really make a prediction, but I'm suddenly not as convinced that the Bears are going to get blown out as I was, say, maybe a week and a half ago. Looking at this game, it is starting a long stretch of tough games for the Bears, but we'll get into that more next week, because we need to talk about some baseball. Right now, you may have heard the drop for bases loaded. They are actually live right now as well, previewing the different division series and talking about things that have already been in the playoffs already. The American League wild card game was a doozy last night between the Red Sox and the Yankees. You were able to hear both sides of that here earlier tonight on IE Sports Radio, the show that never sleeps. Was less than happy about the Yankees dropping the game, and then right before us, Beantown Brandon was elated that his Red Sox advanced and moved on in the American League wild card. And then the National League wild card is going on right now, and I imagine for a lot of Cubs fans, they're kind of conflicted right now because you have the Dodgers and the Cardinals. One of those two teams must win the game, unfortunately, for Cubs fans. They can't both lose. Though it's tied right now in the sixth inning. They could just play into perpetuity, I suppose. The tied at 1 there in the National League Division Series between the Cardinals and the Dodgers. I'm sure Taryn is keeping a close eye on that, being the Southern California guy that he is. But the White Sox, finally, the postseason is here for the White Sox. For the first time in franchise history, the Sox have qualified for the playoffs in back-to-back years. They were the first team in baseball to win its division, clinching the American League Central, ultimately finishing with a record of 93 and 69. I see Taryn chiming in. He's, of course, wanting the Dodgers to win tonight. He's wanting to see the Dodgers and the Giants in the National League Division Series. Yeah, the top two teams in baseball meeting for a league division series. Something's a little messed up there. I have to say, Taryn, I will be on the National League side. I will be pulling hard for the Giants all October because of one Chris Bryant. So my National League allegiance, my heart's out in San Francisco right now. In the American League, Kyle Schwarber's in Boston, so there's some good love there as well. But of course, the White Sox front and center right now. But they're getting ready to take on the Astros in what could be one of the better division series matchups we get. I mean, obviously, Dodgers-Giants is going to be a great division series as well, assuming that the Dodgers pull it out tonight against the Cardinals. But then in the American League, the White Sox and the Astros, two teams that should be very, very evenly matched. In the regular season, they played 7 games, 4 in Houston and 3 in Chicago. Houston took 5 of the 7. They took all 4 in Houston, and then the White Sox took 2 of 3 in Chicago. And that was kind of par for the course for the White Sox all season. The general consensus and general thinking in baseball in the regular season is you want to take 2 out of 3 at home and you want to split your road games. Well, the White Sox effectively did that. They were a total of 53 and 28 at home, and they were 40 and 41 on the road this season. So dropping those games in Houston back in June, not a huge surprise. That was a somewhat early test for the White Sox to kind of try and gauge just how real they were. For game one, at least, the pitching matchup is going to be Lance Lynn going for the Sox. Tony La Russa had been very back and forth, and he wasn't necessarily trying to do any gamesmanship or try to throw the wool over anybody's eyes. He said he was genuinely conflicted about going with Lance Lynn in game one or Lucas Giolito in game one. He knew that those were going to be the top two guys, and I had said last week, that Carlos Rodon, if healthy, I would throw him in there in game two. Obviously, with his health, they want to kind of hold him back as long as they possibly can. Maybe use him in a game four situation if the series goes that long. So they're holding Rodon back. I have no arguments or complaints going with Lance Lynn in game one. That's who I would have picked. Lynch has been the horse for the White Sox all season long. Looking at some of his numbers, traditional numbers, he had a 2.69 ERA, which is the best he's had in his career. Looking at some kind of non-traditional numbers, he had a 3.32 FIP, which is fielder independent pitching. It's effectively a way of gauging a pitcher, of looking at just what he can be responsible for: walks, strikeouts, home runs. If a ball is put in play but then caught by a fielder, that's kind of taken out of the equation for FIP, fielder independent pitching. So a little bit higher than his ERA. That's kind of letting you know he's benefiting from some strong defense behind him. But still, a 3.32 FIP is nothing to sneeze at. You're going to absolutely do well with that. Weighted on base, allowing just 248. You will take that all day long. Just only allowing basically 1 in 4 batters to just get on base. You'll take that. So I'm not surprised at all to see Lynn get the nod in game one, and then Lucas Giolito in game two. Obviously, if you're the Sox, you'd much prefer to be starting at home. You'd much rather have the home field advantage, especially when you consider that the Sox were so much better at home than they were on the road. At the same time, the beauty of being the road team is you only need to take one of those first two games. And it doesn't matter which one. It could be game one with Lance Lynn. It could be game two with Lucas Giolito. They both carry the same amount of weight. If you take one of those two games, then when you come home, you now have the home field advantage, and you put the pressure on Houston to have to come into your park where you have dominated and try to take one. For game one, the Astros are going to be countering with Lance McCullers Jr. He is their ace. A record of 13-5, a 3.16 earned run average, also his career best ERA. He had the second lowest ERA in the American League all season. A quick note on that: Lance Lynn's numbers don't qualify for those kinds of rankings because he didn't get enough innings in this season. Lynn gave up an opposing batting average of just 205 and an on-base plus slugging of just 628. That is nasty. That is McCullers. McCullers features primarily a sinker, a curveball, and a slider. Sinker is typically a faster pitch. It's gonna basically be a fastball that just kind of dies a little bit at the end. The curveball and the slider, those are more your big sweeping breaking pitches. and mixing that in with a sinker, the curveball especially, you can really get fooled by that as a batter because you see the spin and you think, oh, okay, I've got to adjust my swing a little bit, and then all of a sudden the bottom just dives out on the ball and you're swinging, you're going, wait a minute, I should have been right in line with that. Why am I going right over the top of it? Oh, because it was the curveball, not the sinker. Shoot. The Astros also led all teams in baseball with runs scored. They had a run differential. I want to pull this up here real quickly. It was over 200, which run differential. Again, if you remember from a few weeks ago where I broke down some of the different stats and measurements and things like that. Run differential is just one of those simple kind of things to look at. How good is a team really? We'll look at their run differential. Houston finished with a run differential of 205, outscoring their opponents by 205 runs this season. The White Sox, by comparison, had a run differential of plus 160. Certainly nothing to sneeze at. It was fourth best in the American League, but the Houston's 205, second best in the American League, just one run behind the Tampa Bay Rays for best in the American League. What Houston does offensively is a little bit different than what baseball has kind of become in the past few years. Houston really relishes contact. They don't have a whole lot of swing and miss in their game, and that can frustrate pitchers to no end, especially when you're a guy like Lance Lynn and you've had guys swinging and missing at a pretty high rate all season long. So that's going to be a big test for the White Sox, not just Lance Lynn, but their pitching staff as a whole. Can they get the Houston hitters to miss their pitches and just not put balls in play? Another big note for the White Sox as we get into this, Jose Abreu, their first baseman, he did travel with the team. He is down in Houston. He has been battling some flu-like symptoms. The team has said it is not COVID. They've tested him for COVID. He does not have COVID. Instead, he has true flu-like symptoms and is going to be kind of questionable for the game tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully he's able to be out there because he's one of those key guys. He and Tim Anderson are the two kind of key guys for jump-starting the offense for the White Sox. Those are your table setters there. Yes, obviously Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez are going to be huge in this, not only this series, but in every playoff series that hopefully the Sox have this October. But no Jose Abreu would be a huge loss for the Sox. They need that bat in the lineup. They need his veteran presence and leadership out there on the field night in and night out. Some other guys to keep an eye on for Houston. Just kind of, again, how Houston just is so strong offensively. They had 7 players who finished with a weighted runs created plus. Again, remember that's the offensive statistic where any number over 100 is above average. They had 7 players that had a weighted runs created plus score of over 115. Kyle Tucker, Jordan Alvarez, Carlos Correa, Yuli Gurriel, Jose Altuve, Michael Brantley, and Alex Bregman. All strong bats offensively. Of course, they can launch home runs, but also they can hit for contact. They can hit for average and get on base and be pesky and frustrating to the pitchers. Any more now in Major League Baseball, of course, the bullpens are always a big deal, are always something that you have to pay attention to and you have to keep an eye on. For the White Sox, Liam Hendricks, you would imagine he's going to be the closer. Yes, the Sox went on and acquired Craig Kimbrell, famously from the Cubs, at the trade deadline. I would expect Kimbrell to get used more in the 7th or 8th inning and have Liam Hendricks be the last guy out there. You're still going to see guys like Ryan Tepera and Michael Kopech out there for the White Sox. The bullpen for the Sox has been kind of up and down all season long. The way playoff baseball is played now, those guys need to lock in. They need to get their minds right, get focused, whatever it is they need to do, because they're about to be throwing a lot of innings here, certainly in this series, if not for the next month. Because anymore, your starting pitcher, he only goes maybe 4, 5, 6 innings is a lot for a starting pitcher anymore in the playoffs. So the bullpen's got to be ready. It's got to be right. It's got to get locked in. There's going to be pressure on them. There's also going to be pressure on Tony La Russa. I mean, he is back in the playoffs. He and Dusty Baker, the manager for the Astros, you have the two oldest active managers in baseball squaring off against each other in this series. La Russa's 77, Baker is 72 going into this series. I'm going to make sure, I said those numbers out loud. I want to make sure that I got them right. Yes, La Russa is 77, Baker is 72. La Russa, of course, famously had all those years where he was not in a dugout, he was not managing a team. You got through the regular season. Kudos to you for that. It was a bit of a rocky start, but he got through it. Give props to La Russa. Now let's see how your playoff chops are. This is a whole different animal than it was 11 years ago when La Russa last did this with the Cardinals, guiding them all the way to the World Series championship. Going to be pressure on La Russa. We'll see if he's up to the task. 3:07 tomorrow afternoon is first pitch for Game 1. Game 2 is Friday afternoon, and then Game 3 will be Sunday night here in Chicago at home. It's going to be a lot of fun. This should be a really tight series. Of course, I'm going to go with the White Sox. I'm going to say Sox take it. It winds up. I'm going to say White Sox in 4. I think they take one of these first 2 games in Houston, and then they get home and they do not let up. Kind of like what the Chicago Sky just did. Took Game 1 in their best-of-5 series to flip the home court advantage over to their side, came home and took care of business in 4 games. The Chicago, in case you missed it at the top, the Chicago Sky have advanced to the WNBA Finals for the first time since 2014. We will talk about the game tonight and take a quick preview and peek ahead at what the WNBA Finals might look like. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I A in the FBS? Well, then look no further. join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Shores of the Puget Sound to the rushing waters of the Columbia River, stretching across the Great Cascades, and on IE Sports Radio lives the Northwest Territory Sports Show, hosted by me, Brad Buckingham. On this show, I cover all the great collegiate and professional sport teams that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. Of course, I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks, Seattle Mariners, Sounders, and even the Seattle Kraken. But I can't forget all of that is good in Oregon either. I got the Trailblazers, the Oregon Ducks, the Beavers, even the Timbers, and much, much more. You can listen to the show every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, noon to 1 p.m. Pacific on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Chances are
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick with you here tonight for just about another 8 minutes and change, and then we will hand things over to Marcus Los Great and gloves off. He will be talking all things boxing and MMA and all those good things with you tonight. So, the WNBA Finals are coming to Chicago for the first time since 2014. Candace Parker in her first season back home after playing out in Los Angeles for many, many years. She comes home and right away in her first season is able to bring her hometown team to the doorstep of the goal. Not all the way there yet, of trying to win the team's first ever WNBA championship. Well, so far they've done all they can do. They defeated the top-seeded Connecticut Sun tonight, 79-69, and it was not close. The Sky came out and jumped out to a huge lead right out of the gate, a 9-2 run to start the game. Got it all the way up to 13-2 at one point. At one point in the second half, they were up by as many as 15 points. Connecticut kept chipping away at it a little bit, got it down into single digits a few times throughout the night, but ultimately it was Chicago's night out on the court. As a team, the Sky were unstoppable from three-point range. 12 of 25 from three-point range as a team, including Courtney Vandersloot was 5 of 6 from three-point range. She finished with a team-high 19 points, along with 4 assists and 4 rebounds on the night. Courtney was one of 4 Sky players to score in double digits. Kalia Copper with 18 points, Candace Parker with 17, and Azariah Stevens with 11 points overall. Kalia Copper, my goodness, she had herself a night too. She was high energy up and down the court all night long, and she had a few times where she was just one-on-one with her defender and could not be stopped. She had several reverse layups where she just carried her defender the whole way to the rim and finished while she was there. Everybody on the court tonight for the Sky shot lights out. They were doing a fantastic job of moving the ball all the way around the court, keeping everybody engaged, making that one extra pass to get the open look, and that you're reflecting that when you're shooting 12 of 25 from 3 and 28 of 63 overall on the night as a team, leading to 79 points. And then defensively, they were relentless out on the floor defensively all night. I have never seen so many shot clock violations. Connecticut I wasn't keeping track that closely, unfortunately. I wasn't keeping a tally tonight. But I believe Connecticut had to have at least 4 shot clock violations in the second half where they just could not get an open look at all on their floor. Ultimately, the Sun shot well from three-point range. They're 8 of 17 from 3, but just 24 of 63 overall for 38% from the floor. The Sun were led. Jonquel Jones, the reigning WNBA MVP, had herself a double-double, 25 points and 11 rebounds, but not much help beyond that. You had Natasha Heidemann with 16 points for Connecticut, and then Jasmine Thomas with 11 points for Connecticut. Everybody else scoring in single digits. It was just not Connecticut's night out there on the court. So kudos to the Sky. They now get to wait for the winner of the Las Vegas Aces and the Phoenix Mercury, 2 teams that Chicago did not have a lot of success against in the regular season, winning just 1 of 6 matchups between those 2 teams, beating Vegas 1 time. The first 2 times the Phoenix were close, a 1-point loss. Followed up the next game by a 3-point loss out in Phoenix. But then third 10 round and then Karen, very nice to throw a line out there at the very end. And over in women's volleyball, University of Illinois is up 2-1 on number 6 ranked Purdue. Well done to U of I there. Hopefully they close things out there against Purdue. All right, that is going to do it for our show tonight. Thank you to our sponsors, Southern California Warriors, and to Background Check International Business. Thank you for continuing to support all that we do here at IE Sports Radio. Thank you to Larry and Karen for coming and hanging out in the chat room tonight. You guys. Talking all things boxing. And for us next week, of course, we're going to be talking Justin Fields and the Bears game out in the desert, as well as seeing what the White Sox and the Sky did in their respective playoffs. And then Blackhawks and Bulls. The Blackhawks start off their season up drops as we go on the air next week. So we will be talking some hockey. All that and more next week. I can't wait for next Wednesday. Until then, everybody be good, be safe,